στην δεύτερη ενότητα, η οποία έχει τίτλο Learning from the Past, μαθαίνοντας από τις κρίσεις του παρελθόντος. Ο καθηγητής Claude Rochet από το Πανεπιστήμιο Μασσαλίας έχει το λόγο, θα μας μιλήσει με θέμα ο δρόμος της Ανάκαμψης, μαθαίνοντας από τις παρελθούσες κρίσεις και ο ρόλος των στρατηγικών κρατών.
Thank you. First of all, I would thank you, Felix Salinas, for his invitation, and Carlos Caminos for the pleasure to welcome me in Paris last year, for the Congress of Movement, Debout la République, Republic Stand Up against the Brussels monster. So, I will carry on with the previous presentation, reminding you what was exactly the Marshall Plan and what it succeeded. Because it observed a certain point we observed in the past with certain receipts that propelled Europe at the first place in the world. Before the Marshall Plan, we had the Morgenthau Plan. The Morgenthau Plan, Morgenthau, the Secretary of State, was to destroy Germany and to transform Germany in a rural zone, unproductive zone, to divide, to destroy the political power. Please advance, there is many animations in the slides. So it was industrialization, a clear intention to destroy a country. It was a political project. But what they perceive 2 years after, in 1947, is that we destroy all Europe. You have a negative synergy effect between all the country members, and with the Hoover missions report from Mr. Hoover, it was pointed out that there is an illusion that the new Germany could live with such a plan. We had to kill 75 million more people for the plan, for the Morgenthau Plan to succeed. So it was impossible. Other point is, another illusion is that Germany could live only with light industry, and that this industry could, this light industry, very basic industry, will avoid a global economic collapse. And this level of industry could not support Germany. And a still further illusion, the report noted, is that Europe as a whole can recover without the economic recovery of Germany. Germany, with the Morgenthau Plan, will behave as a black hole attracting all the other countries in the whole. So, without industry, you are in a Malthusian trap. A Malthusian trap is the level of wage is equal to the level of subsistence. You can pay only what agriculture produce. Without industry, there is an economic collapse, and if you have no industry, you have negative synergies and recession for all. So the only solution was reindustrialization. That was the idea of the Marshall Plan, and there is an abstract of the speech of George Marshall on 1947. And he reminds us that the farmer has always produced the foodstuff to exchange with the city dweller for other necessities of life. And he reminds us that the success of economic development is based on the division of labor and this interaction between the countryside and the city. The city is where are produced the strongest synergies between economic activities, and these synergies are the heart of this interaction and the heart of wealth creation. This was the key idea of the plan. So, what the Marshall Plan was not? It was not only a massive transfer of monetary resources. When you heard today about a Marshall Plan, they say, oh, we are going to transfer $1 trillion. No? It was only at the beginning $13 billion as consolidated to 20 billion, about 1% of the United States GDP. And of course, what it was not altruism, as Gabriel remember to us. Altruism is a meaningless word in English and globally. The United States were the only power in the world after the war. So they have nowhere to export. After the ending of the war orders, the industry has nothing to do. If the industry in Europe was not rebuilt, and they had the problem with the communist country, but they proposed to the USSR to participate in the Marshall Plan, to reindustrialize, to help USSR to be reindustrialized, but they reject, of course, the capitalist help. So, and in the figure you can see the difference between the recovery in black, recovery in black, and the recovery from the yes, that's a good one. The First World War. It was a very slow recovery because it was based only on private capital, and the recovery after the World War, the Second World War, was based on public initiative, exactly as Gabriel put it. It was not just a political operation to contain communism. It was not the pure catalyst of European economic recovery. It was not, of course, monetary orthodoxy. In that time, when we need money, we produce money. We have to remember that money is a convention. And if we need money to finance our industrial activity, we print money. It was not, of course, free market orthodoxy. So what it was a very strong public intervention. Because every people kept in mind the problems of the free market collapse before the war, and everybody agreed that government failures, of course there are government failures, I'm a professor of public management, there are a lot of government failures, but government failures are always preferable to market failures. The conditionalities Gabriel spoke about was the allegation of war controls on prices and quotas on exchange rate stabilities, but under mixed economy redistributional system. So in that sense, we may speak on the successful adjustment plans, but it's not a neoclassical, as we know today, adjustment plan according to the Washington Consensus 10 principle. The priority was given to productive investment and considering the economy as a whole and not specific firms. If you leave the market, Mr. The Market do his job, he will choose, will pick up individual firms to develop this work. He will not take in charge the economy as a whole and looking for synergies that will have a multiplier effect. And more of all, they insisted on knowledge transfer. This knowledge transfer, the next slide on this, have a strong multiplier effect. And the underlying institutional aspects are the political consensus on welfare state, and of course the Washington Consensus. We had no currency straitjacket we had before the war with gold standard. You couldn't print money because you had the gold standard, as we have with euro today. You can expand the monetary mass. A key issue, very important, because it was a very costless issue. But the main key issue of the Marshall Plan is the knowledge transfer. 1.5% of the total cost of the plan, and this consisted in study tours. Because the European economy was quite backward according to Fordist standard of the American economy. So management, the transfer of management method to the mercantile economy had a huge leveraging effect on the productivity. But these solutions for the productivity were not at all as the so-called conditionalities of the Troika. They are not Washington consensus-like solution where they have this one-size-fits-all solution. Whatever the world, whatever the country, they impose. We have the consultant, the overpaid consultant who arrive, and you have to do that. This is the right way to do that. They are the same slide. Either they are in Mongolia or in Peru. They just send Mongolia is in Peru, but they impose the same thing. And what was quite intelligent is to be suited to local solutions. For example, in Greece they import Mississippi mules, because after the Civil War there are no more mules to plow the fields. So they import these mules that are stronger than Greek mule. I don't know what this mule has become if reproduced irrationally, but it has a strong effect on productivity in Greece. Social consensus. Workers supported the plan under the condition that productivity benefits will be shared between owners, workers, and consumers. And this resulted in the dramatic increase of about 25 to 50% with no increase in fixed assets at the same level of capital. And you have this impact. And this increase in productivity was correlated, many history from the people, I said in foundry, for example, they reduced the man-hour per ton from 222 to 83, with cutting price by 25 and 30%, and raising wages 20 to 25%. So the raising wages are correlated with the progress of productivity. There is no contradiction as they pretend today. So the global mechanism of the increase of productivity, you have to push step by step the arrows. First, if you have this productivity increase, you have to understand that all activities are not alike, and growth is an uneven process. Agriculture has not the same impact on that of industry, but there exists, of course, synergy between the progress of productivity in industry and the progress of productivity in agriculture. So you have to pick up the good activities. All the progress in the industrial Europe from the 16th century were made by people who understood what were these good activities. Was very good. We will call these activities activities with increasing returns. The more you fabric these activities, the more productivity you get and the more wealth you produce. When you produce these activities, you are going to, when you picked up these activities, you are going to search for synergies between economic activities and increase the content of products and technological content of product and labor, and this will produce increasing returns. But by the other, you see, there is another side of another bad way, is if you increase productivity in the absence of a manufacturing sector, what will happen? You will lower the cost of your export, and you won't win anything. The wage won't increase, and you will get out of the market. So raising productivity without developing a manufacturing sector, that is the key, one of the key features of European ideology, the service-based economy. The service-based economy is foolish. There is no service economy without an industrial base. So this is a wrong way, and so we have to avoid this way. Next one, please. So, what was the key for the success? when we look back to the history, we observe that as time goes by, the song by in the Casablanca movie with, it reminds me of Humphrey Bogart, play it again, Sam. As time goes by, the fundamental things apply. The fundamental thing applying is linking agriculture and industry. You may create a free trade zone, but within symmetrical partners. That's the reason why the first release of European Community worked when we were 6, because all these countries were on the same level of development. This is sense meaning, and we have the work of the Friedrich List. Friedrich List formulated these principles in his famous book, The National System of Political Economy, in 1841. The precondition of wealth, democracy, and political freedom are all the same. Diversify manufacturing sector. Why? Because you need to develop the entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship need collaboration among people, and collaboration among people strengthens the institutional development. And you have to make your to find the right timing to open up the country and to close up the country. If you open up too early when your industry is not mature, you are losing your industry. If you never open your country, your industry will become obsolete. I always use this comparison when you learn your child to ride a bicycle. First, at the beginning, you hold the saddle of the bicycle, put the little wheels. If no, the boy will fall. And if you never take off the wheels, he will never become an adult. So the timing of taking off the wheels when you raise your children, you know, children are free, they are able to ride. I had one of my daughter, not before 7. You have to adapt to your own timing of the development. So these principles were formulated by Friedrich List more than 150 years ago, and these were the principles that were observed by, formulated first by Great Britain, repeated by the United States. But the trick is that they wanted the other country not to repeat this recipe. So they promulgated the law of free trade. Because now we are in an industrialized country, we need to sell our industrial products. So please do not industrialize, specialize in agriculture. Because we need England, where agriculture is quite poor. They are not interested in agriculture. They produce raw wool, only raw wool. We need to buy agricultural product and to sell industrial product. So they promoted, and the United States repeated this trick, applying protectionism for the country and free trade for the free trade for dummies, for the other dummies who believe in that. So what today? What is happening today? The Troika policies are akin to Morgenthau plans. Look what is happening. It's a political plan to destroy the countries. Next slide, please. What is happening in Greece is a collapse in industrial investment. This is a clear destruction of the country. It's a Morgenthau plan in action. So, what are the lessons to be drawn from the past? Is that you see this the picture, perhaps you know this picture is the allegory of the good government in Siena town hall in Italy by Lorenzetti. It's for 14th century. This fresco represents the good government, and the good government. You see the people at the left corner. People, they have economic activity. They are joined together. They experience solidarity. There is civic life. These are the basic conditions for expansion. So, we have to remind that the development is an uneven process. Activities are not alike. Wealth is not valued by hours of work, but with knowledge. It depends where you measure the value of your production by what is the knowledge. And the technology is logos, is knowledge. Technology is knowledge. Infant industry is needed to protect your first mover advantage. If you don't protect your innovators, the innovation will be captured by the more powerful. And high qualities activities spill over all the activities, and you have at the end of the story a correlation between what we call in the Middle Age, at the end of the Middle Age, between civic humanism and development of industry. So the issue of good and strong government is still topical as a condition for growth, and we have to remind for Christianist principle. Isotopia, isonomia, isocracia, but are the basic principle of democracy. We play it again, Sam, please. Real is completely right. So, as a conclusion, what is the role of a strategic state? I study a lot the economic history of the states in the 16th century, and I draw out 6 main features. First of all, is a strategic, he has a strategic vision, and he is sovereign. Having a strategic vision without being sovereign is meaningless. He is sovereign as a strategy. He sees the future. Look at the strategic document produced by the Chinese. They think in 2040. They think within 40 years, at least. Not what will be in the paper tomorrow. They are not interested in that. Power and plenty are linked. Power and plenty, risk production of wealth is correlated with the power. Let's remind that Great Britain was a fiscal state, a very powerful state who had a great ability to raise fiscal income from activity. So the best activities the state developed, the bigger the fiscal basis and the powerful the state. Understanding the role of high quality activities, modernization of public administration and political strategy. We often see against the public administration is stupid. The public administration was very powerful in the United States, always powerful. When you see the debate between Alexander Hamilton, was the guy who industrialized the first United States, and Jefferson. Jefferson was an agrarian. He was against public administration, against an autonomous bank. And Alexander Hamilton wanted a powerful public administration. So public administration is always an incubator of modernization, new technology. It triggers the development of the country. Fifth point, promoting the entrepreneurs and fighting the rentiers, rent seekers. And we have to, perhaps, Gabriel will disagree with me, but we have to make a clear distinction between the capitalist and the entrepreneur and the financial capitalist. The financial capitalist destroys wealth. The entrepreneur is a dreamer. He's a dreamer who, first of all, as you find this description in Nietzsche and Schumpeter, he doesn't think in money at the first instance. He's dreaming of the possibility given by technology. And we need such entrepreneur. And that's the reason why the socialism has collapsed, because he had no entrepreneur. He had not understood the role of entrepreneur. And 6 points, keeping a tight rein on finance. And you have this picture on the right. This picture represents the 1720 crisis, financial crisis. It was a correlated crisis on both sides of the channel, the bubble crisis in London and the Mississippi crisis in Paris. The Bubble Act, they already had discovered the principle of monetize the public debt through private companies. and there was a huge speculation. It was a South Sea company, it was stock, everything collapsed. And what is represented? It is represented. It is a Dutch painting, and it represents the wind sailors. You see, they draw the real waste from the soil and then transform them in wealth. They are blowing bubbles and they sell winds. You have to remember that the Dutch experimented the first crisis in 1636 with the tulip crisis, the bubble speculation over the tulip bubble. So they keep a part of all this speculation and they mock the British and the wind seller. So these are the principles we have to observe. Thank you for your attention.